Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your service. How are you all? I hope you're doing very, very well on this really, right here, right now, freezing cold autumnal day. The wind is whistling around the gables, the rafters are rattling, and it's kind of spooky. Well, it would be if the sun wasn't beaming down on that side there. So, but otherwise, we've got some creepy music playing in the background, which you won't be able to hear over my yakety yak from Drag Me to Hell, which is appropriately haunted and cursed and spooky to go alongside the careers of these guys here. Mystery Inc., those crazy cats. And dogs, dogs. Because Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is one of the breakthrough movies in this franchise. Yeah, the whole thing kicked off in 1969. Hanna-Barbera, or Barbera. Is it William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, or is it Joseph Hanna and William Barbera? Whatever, Hanna-Barbera. And amongst their vast stable of product, of programming, Scooby-Doo reigns supreme, without a doubt. And the fact that it's gone on for so many generations. I mean, let's face it, we all have grown up with Scooby-Doo. All of us, it seems. And my kids, one's 19, one's 13, they have both grown up with it. I grew up with it. Everyone I know grew up with it. And pretty much everyone I know loved it as well. So, it is horror. It is cartoon. It's fun. It ain't too scary, but it kind of does give you that gorgeous little cozy frisson of shivers down your spine, which is exactly what, makes the old Universal horrors so appealing as well. They're shiversome, but they're not, completely controversial and grueling. They're just enough to, you get a little cozy shiver and you tuck yourself in and enjoy them all the more. Scooby-Doo brought that in, only in, bright, vivid colours and rather basic animation, but still lovely backdrops and great little stories which ran the full gamut of, there was ghostly sailors, mutinous mariners who've come back from the grave, the watery grave. You've got robot monsters, you've got werewolves, you've got vampires, you've got the hex girls, you've got zombies, you've got spooks, ghouls, goblins, everything is there. But the vast majority of the time, certainly up until this film we're about to discuss now, at the end of it, those meddling kids and that damn dog would manage to contrive to trap this beast, spectre, ghoul, fiend under something where they were powerless to get him and they could just wrench the mask off. It's Mr. Grimsdale, the greengrocer. It's Stanley Kubrick filming for NASA. It's whoever. And it'd be some little really spindly guy, the real estate agent or the corrupt accountant, the whatever, who's managed to adopt this huge hulking suit, and he can still run like mad and commit loads of crimes and is very uber athletic, despite being a decrepit old fool. So it's the cliche, it's cornball, it's cheesy, but look at the characters that you had, Shaggy. Raggy? You've got Scooby-Doo, that isn't it? His full name, Scooby, by the way. And he's Norville, isn't it? It's Norville. Daphne Blake. You've got Freddie Jones, something like that, Freddie whatever. Velma Dinkley, Jinkies, and over there you've got Shaggy's stunt double. But and the Mystery Machine. But as I say, it began in the late 60s, it ran throughout the 70s, tons of reruns, tons of offshoots, different versions, where you just have, say, Scooby and Shaggy would go off on adventures, and there'd be a whole slew of those. Then you'd have a sort of splintering even more. You'd have Scooby, Shaggy, and maybe Velma, or even Daphne would appear in a few. Then you had a pup named Scooby-Doo. Then you had, more adventures, or the modern adventures of Scooby-Doo. Then you had the entire crowd as little, teens, little younger kids, and just went ridiculous. And then he brought in these feature-length movies, and that's when things took off again, because that was the time when my kids were young, and I was able to show them these because they all came out on bloody DVD, didn't they? And here's the one in question. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Should be rated 18. Actually should be, thinking about it. But and I remember sitting and watching these, and that old magic came back, that old charm came back, that nostalgia, and I was loving it. And of course, kids being kids, they want to watch the same thing over and over and over again. Like, in fact, I'm like that even now. So that's no skin off my nose. So we'd sit through them, and I'd just really be captivated all over again. And then this one come along. In 1998, this one came out, and it was directed by, I've got it written down, because I don't remember all these things, you know. Jim Strenstrom. Sorry, that with a lisp. And it's written by Glenn Leopold, with fabulous music by Steve Branson. But this one completely subverted it whilst playing to all the same beats. The idea was that you open up with a haunted house again, and they're running in, they're being chased by some huge green slimy monster. They manage to save the day, unmask the thing, and it is, in this case, it's the real estate agent. But it transpires, it's Daphne is on a TV show, and and that's how we solve that case. Oh, those were the days. Because what's happened is the gang split up. They've all gone their own separate ways because they were remorselessly fed up by unmasking just normal people, normal villainous scumbags, and it just killed their love of mystery, because there was no mystery, there was no real supernatural, so it just killed it all off. So Daphne now has a talk show. She does this, it's Coast to Coast it's called, and she's being interviewed about that, but the talk show is just kind of saying, you know, but you must miss all that, why don't you do a new version called Ghost to Ghost with Daphne Blake? So, and Daphne is like that, but Daphne is actually with Fred. You cheeky little fella, you, with your cravat. And he films all their episodes. And like, so the idea comes to him, why not reunite the gang together and let's go out and do what this woman suggested, like Ghost to Ghost, from coast to coast. And we'll see if we can find something for real, which is just the same old shtick all over again. So Scooby and Shaggy are working as customs agents in the airport, sniffing out contraband food. Well, you know what these guys are like, you know, hamburgers and stuff like that. You know, great big like fucking just swallowed in. And yet Shaggy remains as slim as, like, you know, a famine victim. Famous grouse, where are you? Going down nicely. And so they get the call from Fred, they join up again, and Velma is running her own mystery bookshop, and although it's her chosen topic, she's still not happy with it. You know, it's like, have you got a copy of Ghost Catching by Spook You Nightly? That's a little in-joke there, but you know, work around it. So they all leap at the chance. So you'll have a little montage of them going around again from place to place, but they're unmasking the usual culprits. And then let's head down to New Orleans, Louisiana, the bayous and all that. And they're in town. Of course, Scooby and Shaggy have gone off for a big food riot, and this waitress called, oh God, what's her name? Lena Dupre overhears me saying about, we want a real haunted house for once. And she says, well, I work on Moonscar Island out in the bayou. It's not too far, but it's on an island. And I work for a woman, Simone Lemoire. And the place is haunted. If you want to do a film there, come out with me. So they all saddle up and off they go. And they have to get a ferry boat over there, run by this big burly old brute, a bit of a Louisiana swampland version of Quint. You know, he runs the ferry and he says, better watch out for Big Mona, which is this huge catfish, which no one's ever managed to catch this thing like. And of course, Scooby, who in the history of the Scooby-Doo shows, he's never shown any animosity or aggression to other animals, especially cats. He's always got on well with them. But in this film, he definitely doesn't. And he's even trying to catch the catfish, which is just blowing water in his face. He falls overboard. Shaggy goes after him. Next thing, gators are coming in. And it is a bit like, shit, are they going to get chomped here? Because it is quite strategically nasty. And a life vest gets chucked. Velma chucks a life ring out to them. And when they're swimming towards it, a gator just comes up, jaw style, and just takes it down. And you're like, oh my god. And then just in the nick of time, they're saved by, oh, what's his name? You know, I've seen it a million times, I still can't remember the names. Snakebite Scruggs, who's this definitely shady sort of fisherman come poacher who doesn't believe that any tourists or strangers should be in that swampland because, as Jacques says, he believes it is his swamp, you know. He is crazy. But he's also got a very big, very nasty hunting pig, as he calls it, which is this almost razorback style fucking warthog thing, which is truly, truly nasty to look at. And it does go after Shaggy and Scooby a couple of times in the movie. Anyway, they eventually get back, or get to Moonscar Island. And Moonscar Island has this old, sort of 300-year-old mansion house built in the middle of it, which is overrun with cats because the lovely Simone Lenoir, voiced, get this, by Adrienne Barbeau, the former Mrs. John Carpenter, Stevie Wayne from The Fog, you know, Maggie from Escape from New York, and that fucking Harridan bitch from Creepshow who gets eaten by the big fairy missing link, Fluffy. And she takes them in. They've got a new gardener there called Beau, who seems a bit suspicious as well. You know, he's always in the wrong place at the wrong time. He doesn't seem to like these people who've arrived. But Moonscar Island is called Moonscar because there was a pirate called Morgan Moonscar who 300 years before used to come ashore and bury all his treasure there. So straight away, Scooby's chasing the cats, the thing he's never done before, and causing bedlam. They're eating the place out of house and home. Crawdads and crayfish and all that stuff. I don't know what this is. Gumbo, I do know what that is. And they've got all these fantastic Moonscar Island peppers, which are blowing their freaking heads off, you know. And that's the thing about it. They keep going in to get more food, knowing it's going to almost kill them, but they still do it. After you, Scoob. Oh, you raggy? Nuclear explosions and mushroom clouds coming out of them. It's just, what if it's going to do that much damage to you, why are you going to eat it, you know? And then go and get more. But they do. Anyway, pretty much straight away, supernatural things begin to happen. Messages appear on the walls, writing saying, go home, beware. And they film this. But when they slow the film down, they can see the ghostly apparition of a pirate writing it with his cutlass on the wall. And of course, Velma's always trying to find, you know, there's got to be something. There's always like a projection booth behind that wall, or there's some kind of, you know, contraption there. There's always wires or whatever. Can't find anything. Then you have the spell of levitation. Velma begins to levitate, and you know, and there's even a bit of a sort of innuendo about looking up her skirt, you know. And let's be honest, folks. Although Daphne's always painted as being, you know, the glamorous one, isn't it funny how the live-action movies chose someone really gorgeous to play a really geeky yet incredibly fit version of Velma? She's down there. She's got all the attributes. And this film seems to play into that a little bit. You've also got this sort of lesbian slant to it. Now, I'll explain that a little bit further, because you're thinking, no way is there lesbian stuff in it. Well, this film is very heavily influenced by the likes of Cat People and the film Sleepwalkers as well, but mainly Cat People. The fact that Adrienne Barbeau's character, the woman who runs this big colonial mansion on this island, and there's no one else there, there's just her and Lena, I got that name wrong, Lena, the one who took the gang there in the first place. And what's going on there? There's definitely a hint. And in Cat People, the original Cat People, Irina is played by the sultry and very, very kittenish Simone Simon. So Simone is a homage, direct homage to that. And in the original Cat People movie from 1943, which was the Val Lewton, Jacques Turner reinterpretation of the Wolfman myth, which I will come on to because this is sparing things on here, but I'm going to cover Cat People, the original, and maybe Paul Schrader's early 80s remake as well, because that's got a lot of plus points to it as well. And similar sort of theme as this works out to be. So, there's something going on there. There's a hint, a little bit of a hint there, that these two women, it's definitely there. There's also a hint that Daphne and Fred could be together, or at least want to be together. There's a hint that Velma fancies Bo, this mysterious, suspicious gardener on the grounds. There's also Daphne fancies Bo as well, and Fred fancies Lena, the one that took them from, the town to Moonscar Island. And as each person falls attracted to the other person, like Daphne will get jealous of Fred looking at Lena, and Fred will get jealous of Daphne looking at Bo. So you've got this love. Well, that's not even a triangle. There's more. That's a much bigger configuration. There's far more seductive angles at play here, and it's nice. It gives it an extra little added, frisson of stuff happening. It's all done for fun. It's all done in a good-natured, family-friendly fashion. But, well, as we'll go on, because this film will genuinely unleash zombies. And these zombies first appear to be the pirates, the men that Morgan Moonscar originally led. And they will rise off the swamps when this strange, almost, liquid laser beam light fills the sky and hits certain points. There's a great big hole dug in the ground which Scooby and Shaggy will fall into, and trying to dig their way out, they'll uncover a skeleton which will then come to life, and then withered flesh will appear in its bones. It'll come for them in that time-honoured way. And then there'll be several attacks by multitudes of zombies, not just pirates, but you'll have Confederate soldiers as well. You will also have tourists, because in this particular area, as we've learned, many people have disappeared in the swamps, and we're going to find out where they've gone and how they've disappeared. Because, I know I'm going to spoil all this. Of course I am. That's why I'm here. And I did, if you remember, in the last video, I said, if you can, go and watch that film before you watch this review. Go out and watch it now. But, you know what I'm like. The gob don't stop. Unless there's whiskey tumbling down the back of it. Yeah. So we find out, of course, that the zombies are there. They're not trying to hurt anybody. They're trying to warn and save Scooby, Shaggy, Daphne, Velma, Fred. Because the real bad guys are, well, obviously it's Simone and Lena and all their cats. There's the big giveaway, the cats. There's also clues in some of the shots as well. Notably when they get shown to their rooms, because they're going to stay overnight, obviously, to conduct their investigation of this haunted house. Lena opens the curtains to allow, this is nighttime, the best view of the full harvest moon coming through. That's important. But when she turns round, you look at her face, and it's like this almost feral, vampiric sort of face with this demonic eye. It can be taken the other way, that it's a sexy look directed at Fred. But if you know your stuff, you're going to go, uh-oh. She ain't good news. So yeah, these two bitches are actually 300 years old themselves. And what's happened is, they and their colony, this isn't going to explain too much, 300 years ago, arrived on Moonscar Island, and it wasn't called Moonscar Island then, but because obviously Morgan Moonscar, they didn't know about him, and they built a house, and they worship cat gods, although it's a throwaway line, and we worshipped our cat gods. And then one night during the Harvest Moon Festival, Moonscar and all his pirates arrive, and this is my island, what are you bastards doing here? And isn't that a shocking scene for you? They drive everybody into the bayou, where you see in an overhead shot all the gators coming in. So clearly, they were all savaged in the lagoon. But Simone and Lena managed to escape to this hidden cavern underneath the mansion house, where they conduct all their rituals, and they pledge their lives to the cat god, and they want revenge on Captain Moonscar. But what this does, it turns them into sort of like immortal werecats. Yeah, folks, you heard that right. Werecats. So we are talking a bit of a werewolf story here as well. You've got zombies. You've got a razorback warthog thing. You've got suspicion, ghosts, treachery, paranoia, really eerie, supernaturally clad swamplands, and you've got transformations as well. You've also got voodoo, because these witch bitches also practice voodoo, and they have wax dolls of all the gang. So, that's how they levitate them. They can pick them up and throw them against walls. So that particular Velma will get thrown against the wall. Fred will get bounced off another wall. And if these dolls end up too close to a flaming torch, they're all beginning to melt. Oh, man. Come on now. This is Scooby-Doo. What's going on? But you see these two bitches transform, and they deliver the story. And the idea is how they prolong their lives, how they attain immortality, is that every harvest moon, under the full moon, they must drain the life force out of victims who've been drawn there. Hence all these disappearances. Okay. But, so why are the zombies all there? Well, the zombies under the command of Moonscar just want revenge on these that took their lives. Even though Moonscar was a bit of a twat himself, let's not forget that, So it's a bit of a tit for tat, a tit for cat, as it were. But, so a big battle ensues. Everyone's trying to get away. They're all running, everyone's running through houses in a that way, running like that. But in this film, the animation's a little bit better than what you got in the 60s and throughout the 70s, where mansion corridors would go on for like 83 miles, and they'd just be running, come on, Scoob! And then they're running from door to door to door to door to door, and in the end, the monster's just standing there going like, and just waits. But you got elements of that. But Scooby and Shaggy managed to make it down to the ferry. Remember Jacques? Jacques, voiced by Jim Cummings. Now, Jim Cummings, I thought that name, he's the guy that's doing, the film's just about to come out, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, the big new werewolf movie. Now, he's written it, and he's starring in it, and, but no, it's not the same guy. Not the same guy at all, no. And this Jacques has that fabulous voice that Wilford Brimley had in Hard Target, down the bayou, good whiskey make Jack Rabbit slap the bear, And they're like, Jacques, man, I'll be glad to see you. But Jacques goes, boys. And he immediately transforms into, imagine that is not him, but that's very similar. If you imagine that, but like 8 feet, maybe 9 feet tall and muscle bound, a big sort of werecat monster, and he goes after them. Oh man. And then you see Simone and Lena, because when they confessed all this, they were only sort of in a mid-phase of transformation. They just had pointy ears and fangs, but they still looked, vaguely human, just kind of, vampiric. And no, when the big battle ensues and all the zombies start to pile in as well, trying to claim revenge, they turn into hulking, and these are female. But you see the transformations, the clothes split, the shoes come apart, muscles and sinew grow. And you're like, this is Scooby-Doo. The reason why they know it's real as well, they've had a big encounter with the zombies earlier on, and a zombie just collapses by the side of the mystery machine, and they all have a go at trying to tear the mask off, and they won't come off. And then Freddy has a go. He's like, come on here, like, come on. Pulls the head off completely, and he's like, and they're all like, I told you it was real. And he starts throwing the head around, and then the zombie catches it and puts it back on, and then gets up, And you're like, this film is going in different directions. It's pushing the boundaries that you had from the cartoon show. It ain't no friendly stuff. So people have been killed, they've been murdered, and they've come back to get revenge. So you have genuine zombies, and you have these real werecats that do look bloody ferocious. Who would have thought? The voice cast also includes Mark Hamill. That I've got it again. Snakebite Scruggs, the one who's the poacher, who thinks he owns the place. So he's not actually a bad guy either. But Mark Hamill does the voice for him. And that detective, I've just ruined it there. That gardener, that suspicious gardener, Bo, he's actually a detective who's been there, sort of, undercover, trying to find out what's happened to all these disappearances and these missing people. So he's been working there too. So he joins forces with them in the end. And the zombies finally do get to grips with, the ones who put them in the watery grave. And the skin and bones, because at a certain time, by stroke of midnight on the Harvest Moon Festival, if they haven't drained anyone of their life force, then they're going to lose their life force. So they completely wither away, the skin drains off them. Yes, folks, this is Scooby-Doo, yeah. So they get their major comeuppance. And it's a great horror story, but wrapped up in that Scooby-Doo sort of, style. All the voice cast do a great job. Even though we've not got Casey Kasem anymore, and Frank Welker is always on Fred. But John Innes does. It's not John Innes. That's wrong. John Innes is a comedy actor. Scott Innes does the voice of Scooby. Sorry. Billy West does Shaggy. Yeah, that's it. Let's get these names right. The certain movies from yesteryear, I can reel off, the second unit cameraman, all the stunt team, the makeup artists, I can do all that, but fucking Scooby-Doo, I'm like, who's it again? The animation and the artwork, yeah, it's still primitive stuff. These films would then take on the later Scooby-Doo movies would take on a huge CG element as well. And some of them are great, some are not so great. I may come on to some of those. There's a great one called Camp Scare, which is wonderful. That is another one of these where you're like, oh my god, they're going another degree. There's more imagination, there's more at play here. That is a great movie as well. And other films would have real, genuine threat, supernatural threat, but a lot of them would maintain that sort of old traditional look where it's actually, the mask comes off. Damn, I would have got away with it. Oh, that meddling kids and that damn dog. But there's a post-credit sequence as well for this. Scooby's been chasing all these cats that live there on this Moonscar Island. And he's been making a right bastard of himself. But at the end, he pours, post-credits, he pours some milk into a dish for these cats. And ooby-dooby-doo. It is great. Folks, the animation is much better. The backgrounds are superb, and some of that gliding sort of, call it camera work. They seem to take you down corridors. Some of these montage shots are great, but the really atmospheric swamplands and these spooky mansions, they look really good. The lighting, the colours, the shadows are really good. It's just when it comes to these guys, it's the same old style of animation, just a little bit more refined perhaps. But it still isn't no leaps and bounds. We're not talking complete, rotoscoping here. But it's such good fun. Endlessly enjoyable movie. You have It's Terror Time Again is the song. These movies would then begin to bring in sort of like soft rock songs as well to try and keep down with the older kids as well. And later movies would also bring in the Hex Girls, who are this goth rock trio of punkette girls, and they would appear in a fair few, quite annoyingly so to be honest, but it is what it is. But they're not in this, thankfully, and they're not that bad to be honest. But Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, it did spawn a sequel which came out about 2 years ago, so quite some time after this one was made, and this is rightly regarded as one of the classics of the Scooby-Doo canon. But they made a sequel, Return to Zombie Island, which apparently, because I've not seen it and I really don't want to do it either, because I've heard nothing but bad stuff about it. It's utter tripe apparently, and it completely pisses all over this story and almost makes it so that the story wasn't real. It was fake after all. So it's going to pull the rug from under what is a great classic and also groundbreaking Scooby-Doo episode, well, movie and story, that I want nothing to do with you. Folks, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Available. Only on DVD, I think, but it is fabulous stuff. So funny, so clever. All the stuff you know and love of Scooby is in there. But you've got real zombies, you've got real voodoo, and you've got werecats. Great big bestial werecats. Fucking amazing. So, folks, in the meantime, and indeed, that Hanna-Barbera in between time, please do take it easy. Keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all laters. We just haven't got a Scooby-Doo. What to do?